It is that time once again. It is March Madness. I'm really looking forward to this year's March Madness. Although I'm not an avid college basketball lover, I feel like I kind of have a good sense of what's going on right now. Before I jump into it, make sure you guys like. Let me know your upsets. Let me know your championship picks and subscribe. Let's jump right into the video. Let's start off in the South region. We're going to start with Auburn versus the winner of, I believe, what is that, Alabama State and FU. I mean, this is easy. Let's go with Auburn. They've been a good team all year long. We got Louisville and Creighton next. If you guys know, 8-9 matchups could go either way. I want to go Creighton because Creighton's usually a really good tournament team. Louisville, they did have a good performance in the ACC tournament. It's March. I would take Creighton. Next, we got Michigan and UC San Diego. This is a tough one for me because I like both teams. Michigan is one of those teams I just fell in love with before I even started applying for colleges. And then UC San Diego, I've had the pleasure of seeing them play while I was still in college, going to my alma mater in UCI. I've said this for the longest about San Diego, that they were a team that looked primed to make some noise whenever they became eligible because they have a great story. They started off in Division III from 1965 to 2000, and then they went to Division II from 2000 to 2020. And then afterwards, they went to Division One, joined the Big West, and just recently they became eligible for the NCAA tournament. And what happened in their first year of eligibility? They won the whole damn thing. I gotta go with UC San Diego because they play hard. I love what that UC San Diego team can do, and I believe that they will rise to the occasion in the first round against a Michigan team who I'm a little iffy about. They've been up and down all year long. Next, we got Texas A&M and Yale. Give me the Aggies. Next, we got Ole Miss versus the winner of San Diego State and UNC. I'm be honest, there's a lot of critique about UNC getting in to the first four alone. So I like San Diego State. I've seen them play as well. But I'm going to go with Ole Miss because I have more confidence in them. Both SDU and UNC are kind of like iffy teams. So I'll stick with Ole Miss. Next, we got the 3 seed taking on the 14 seed. This is a gimme. I'm going to take Iowa State. Next, we got Marquette against New Mexico. Marquette, I had them going far. What was it? I believe last year? It might have been the year prior. Because it's March Madness, I'm going to take New Mexico. I've heard that they played really well this year. And Marquette has been a team in the tournament who has fell short. And then lastly, to finish up the first round, we got Michigan State going up against Bryant. I'm going to take Michigan State. Tom Izzo is an all-time coach, and I believe that he's going to get his team ready for this tournament, and they're going to make some noise. On to the second round of the South region. We got Auburn versus Creighton. I'm going to take Auburn. They've been an great team all year long, so I expect that to continue and get them past the second round. Next, we got UC San Diego and Texas A&M. I want to pick UC San Diego because I'm biased. I've seen Big West basketball. You know, the SEC this year in basketball has been phenomenal, so I'm gonna roll with Texas A&M. Ole Miss versus Iowa State. Iowa State, the Cyclones, they got a great defense. Ole Miss, not really sure if they can overcome Iowa State. I'm gonna lean towards the higher seed in Iowa State. And to close out the second round, New Mexico and Michigan State. As I already mentioned with Michigan State and Tom Izzo's team, I like them, and I think they're going to advance to the Sweet 16. We got Auburn versus the Aggies. This has the potential of being a crazy game that could go either way. Again, I know it's cliche to go with the number one seed, so I feel like I should take the Aggies in an upset. Well, it would really be an upset because the Aggies have been a good team. Let's go with the Aggies here. We gotta have a wacky bracket for Iowa State versus Michigan State. I trust Michigan State much more, and now we have the South portion of the Elite Eight. I'm going to take Michigan State to advance to the Final Four. On to the West region. We got Florida taking on Norfolk State. I'm going to take Florida. Florida has been surprisingly a really good team. They look reminiscent of the Joakim Noah, Al Horford, Billy Donovan days. Maybe it might be a resurgence for Florida Gators hoops. Next, we got the defending champs, UConn, in an 8-9 matchup against Oklahoma. 8-9 has historically been a good place to take an upset. I'm going to rock with UConn, the defending champs. And although they've taken a step back this year, I believe with that championship pedigree, they still handle business in the first round. Next, we got Memphis versus Colorado State. Right now, Colorado State, if I'm not mistaken, is on a 10-game winning streak right now. March Madness is really all about who has the most momentum. That would be Colorado State. You know what? Screw it. Give me Colorado State. Next, we got Maryland versus GCU. Maryland. Come on now. No offense to Grand Canyon fans. I believe they can play a hard-nosed game, but Maryland's just been the better team this season. Next, we got Missouri versus Drake. I'm going to roll with Missouri. Next, we got Texas Tech versus UNC Wilmington. Give me Texas Tech. We got Kansas versus Arkansas. Give me Kansas. I believe that they will rise to the occasion. But what's crazy was one thing, the number one seed, like very early on in the beginning of the year, it's crazy how far they fell off. I believe that they'll be able to get past the Razorbacks in the first round. Next, we got St. John's versus Omaha. Give me St. John's. Rick Pitino doing an excellent job out of St. John's, and he's got them back to basketball relevancy. And to kick off the second round, we got Florida versus UConn. I'm going to take the Gators. Unfortunately, UConn has fallen off. As much as I would love to see them be on track to defend their title, Florida's playing much better basketball. Colorado State versus Maryland. Give me Colorado State. I'm going to stand 10 toes. Colorado State is playing good basketball right now, and again, they got the momentum. I think that carries on against Maryland. Missouri versus Texas Tech. I'm going to take Texas Tech. Texas Tech has been an excellent team here in the tournament over the last couple of years. I believe that success will continue here. Kansas versus St. John's. I'm going to take St. John's. Florida going up against Colorado State. This is where I believe two really good teams are going to be clashing against each other. I'm going to lean with Florida. I think it's going to be a nail biter. It's going to be a close game only because if Colorado State can make it this far, I feel like combine that with the momentum, they're going to have an extra confidence boost. They're going to take Florida to its limit, but the Gators are going to find a way to win this game and advance to the Elite Eight. Next, we got Texas Tech and St. John's. Hate being basic, but I gotta go with St. John's. I don't want a basic 1-2 in the Elite Eight, but St. John's has been playing good basketball. And again, they have some momentum. And having a head coach with experience, I believe he's going to be able to galvanize the troops and get them to perform on a higher stage to enter the Elite Eight. We have St. John's going up against the Florida Gators. I'm going to go with Florida here, and that's because St. John's still has some more growing to do. I believe St. John's is on the cusp of making year-round appearances here in March. Next, let's go up to the East. We got Duke against the winner of the first four matchup here. No brainer. Give me Duke. Mississippi State versus Baylor. I'm going to go with Baylor. Keep in mind, Baylor won a national title just a couple of years ago. So I think Baylor is going to get the job done against the Mississippi State team. We got Oregon going up against Liberty. Give me Oregon. Oregon is a good team when it comes to this time of the year. They always increase their level of play. I think that will continue here in the first round. Also, that's my first 5 seed doing their job and being a 12 seed. So we'll see how it goes. Next, we got Arizona versus Akron. I want to go with Akron here in an upset. Arizona's a team where they high-key, when it comes to this time of the year, they sell like a lot. So like Arizona realistically should make it, but will they is the real question. You know what? Screw it. I'm taking Akron. I just don't know about Arizona. I know they got Caleb Love, but like outside of that, I'm looking at their history in its totality. In March, they've underperformed. They got off to slow starts. That could happen here. And Akron's a team that's playing with house money right now. So give me Akron. Next, we got BYU going up against VCU. I'm going to take BYU. Next, we got Wisconsin versus Montana. Wisconsin. St. Mary's versus Vanderbilt. Could be a very intriguing game. I'm going to lean with St. Mary's. Alabama going up against Robert Morris. I'm going to go Roll Tide. Second round, we got Duke versus Baylor. I'm going to trust in Duke to handle Baylor, a former championship program. I think with Cooper Flagg, by the way, does have an ankle sprain that he's dealing with. It's been reported that he will be available for the tournament. Will it be the first round or will it be the second round? Second round is really where he should be, but we also got to consider he needs to have some sort of momentum. It'll be over a week since the last time he played. So we'll see how it goes. Oregon and Akron. As I mentioned previously in the first round, Oregon, the Ducks have been a good team. They play their best ball at the right time here in March. I'm going to take them to advance. Next, we got BYU versus Wisconsin. I like what Wisconsin's been doing. They played with a lot of fire and passion. So I'm going to roll with the Badgers. And then St. Mary's versus Alabama. Now, this is a game where I've seen a lot of people pick St. Mary. And it's because they play a slow, grinded out, methodical style of basketball. And Alabama, in comparison, is playing at the speed of light. Which style is going to bend the knee? I've seen a lot of people pick St. Mary's. So to be different, I'm going to go with Roll Tide. Alabama, they played some great basketball this year, and I think they can compete with any team regardless of the style. We got Duke versus Oregon. Hey, if we get this game, I feel like this could be a really fire game. I'm going to lean with Duke. I think Duke either narrowly is going to edge out the Ducks, or it's going to be one of those games where they have control going into the last 2 minutes and, eventually having to play the foul game, they might win by 8 or 10. Wisconsin versus Alabama. This is a game that has a lot of chances for Wisconsin to pull off the upset. Again, though, as I mentioned with my second round prediction, I'm going to roll with the Tide. I believe that they will get the job done. We got Duke versus Alabama. This might surprise. Actually, no. I don't think this is really a surprise at all. I'm going to roll with the Tide. And the reason why I'm rolling with the Tide is because with Duke, I know that they are a blue blood of college basketball. Much like with John Calipari and the Kentucky Wildcats, the problem that has been with these blue bloods as of late is that because they become almost one and done factories, that kind of nullifies the team chemistry. So you're bringing in a new team each and every year. And when you get to this tournament style, having a cohesive team with experience playing together, that matters. I believe for Alabama, because they have guys who have played together for a couple of years now, I believe that will show here and they will advance to the Final Four. We got Houston versus Edwardsville. I'm being honest, I don't even know what college that is. No disrespect to them at all. But I'm going to take Houston, going to take the Cougars. Gonzaga versus the Georgia Bulldogs. I'm going to take Gonzaga. Although it's not the same Gonzaga team that we've seen in recent history, I believe that they are good enough to get past Georgia in the first round. Next, we got Clemson versus McNeese. I'm going to roll with Clemson here. Next, we got Purdue versus High Point. I'm going to roll with the Boilermakers. We got Illinois versus the winner of Texas and Xavier. More than likely, the winner of this game is going to probably be Xavier. I'm going to ride with Illinois because I've seen them a little more this year, and I'm not sure what I'm going to get from Xavier. Next, we got Kentucky versus Troy. Now, it's a new era in Kentucky basketball. But hear me out. If I did pick Troy, would I be entirely wrong? Kentucky has sold the last couple of years here in the first and second round. So I feel like I'd be entitled to pick Troy. But I'm going to use my common sense. I'm not going to go too crazy. I'm going to stick with Kentucky, and we're going to see if the Wildcats can change their fortunes here in March. Next, we got UCLA versus Utah State. Pains me to do this, being an LA native. I would love to see UCLA make some noise here, but I'm going to have to go with Utah State. Feel much more confident in them and what they bring to the table. And then lastly, to close out the Midwest first round, we got Tennessee versus Watford. I'm going to take the Volunteers. Tennessee's playing good basketball right now at the moment, and I think that will continue. Houston versus Zaga. I'm going to ride with Houston, but if we're being honest, it's very intriguing because Houston and Zaga are both teams that we usually have high expectations for, but they find ways to crumble in March. But Zaga, this is not their best team this year. I think Houston gets the job done. Next, we got Clemson versus Purdue. I'm going to ride with Clemson. Clemson is a slightly underrated team. The moment that resonates for me is when they pulled off the upset at Clemson against Duke. And not to mention, just last year, they had a really good tournament run as well. Combine those two factors for me, and I think they will advance to the Sweet 16. Illinois versus Kentucky. I'm going to ride with the Wildcats. I think they get the job done here and finally get back to the Sweet 16. And then lastly, we got Utah State versus Tennessee. I'm going to ride with the Volunteers. Volunteers played through that SEC, which was one of the better divisions in college basketball. I think that provides them what they need to get past Utah State in the second round. Houston versus Clemson. Part of me wants to take Clemson. And I understand that Houston has been really good. But what's been a trend with Houston? We see that they've been really good for a while now. But then when it comes to that final stretch, I don't know if it's pressure or if they just go up against the wrong team at the wrong time, but they haven't fully capitalized on it yet. I'm going to be different from different brackets that I've seen. I'm going to roll with Clemson here. I think Clemson gets back to the Elite Eight, much like how they did last year. And then lastly, we got Kentucky versus Tennessee in the Sweet 16. Give me Tennessee. Tennessee, as I mentioned, playing excellent basketball. And then that sets us up for an Elite Eight matchup. We got Clemson versus Tennessee. I got to stick with my guns here. I'm going to go with Tennessee. I think they get the job done and advance to the Final Four. However, I do expect Clemson to make a close game out of it. And we've got to my Final Four. On one side of the bracket, we got Michigan State going up against Florida. On the other side, we got Alabama versus Tennessee. Let's start off with the Alabama-Tennessee game. I'm going to go with Alabama because I like what they've done all year long. And then on the other side, I'm going to go for my championship game. I'm going to go with Florida. I like what they've done all year long as well. And my pick for the national championship game, Alabama. Although they are a football school, I believe this team will rise to the occasion and they will put themselves in basketball glory as a national champion. Let me know what you guys think. What parts of my bracket do you disagree with, agree with? And then in the comments, again, let me know who you got for the national title, which upsets you may have. I thank you guys. If you made it through the end of the video, thank you guys. Appreciate it very much. And I'll see you guys in the next one.